Hey, you know what? Let's talk to a real business guy.
All right, let's do it.
You know what?
Let's
I'm talking
do
about
it.
a guy. I'm talking about Greg Hayes. Raytheon Technologies, now RTX, reported what some regard as a mixed quarter, beating on earnings per share, missing on revenues. We acted to find all these things because a lot of these things are just robo-analysis. So joining us now is Greg Hayes, Raytheon Technologies Chairman and CEO. Greg, I always appreciate you coming on. I was going to say in good times and bad, but I thought it was good. What do I know? You know, I mean, I'm just looking. You got you got that good backlog, and you've got aerospace, commercial aerospace looking pretty darn good.
Look, I think, I would say, we had a really, really solid fourth quarter. I think obviously earnings per share looked really good. We had a good solid beat on the bottom line. Top line, not quite as good as what we had expected, a little bit because we did a divestiture in the fourth quarter that we hadn't anticipated closing so soon. But also, I'd say we had some supply chain issues, which also impacted the top line, if not so much the bottom line. So as I think about it, though, a lot of momentum in the business. As you said, commercial aero is recovering nicely. It's continuing to drive solid growth at Pratt and Collins Aerospace. And the defense businesses, huge backlog, over $60 billion, total backlog over $150 billion for RTX. So I feel really good about where we are today.
All right, so let's talk about commercial. A lot of people are seeing the problems with Boeing. The Boeing problems are writ large. We talk about them a lot. But if you're levered to Airbus, how's business?
Look, business is good on the OE side if you're focused on the A320 like Pratt & Whitney is. And I think that's the best game in town right now. Obviously, the 737 is still a very good aircraft. They've got a solid backlog of about 4,000 orders. But Airbus has a backlog of about 7,000 orders. And obviously, we like this A320. We like our position there with the geared turbofan engine. And we're going to continue to take advantage of that in the coming years as Airbus ramps production back up to, I'd say, pre-pandemic levels here in the next couple of years.
All right, let's talk about defense. We have the people talking about a hot war in Ukraine. People obviously seeing 36 planes flew over Taiwan airspace the other day. Are we spending enough on defense? And do we have anything that would make it so if you inserted 8,000 American soldiers into Ukraine, they can stop 103,000 Russian soldiers?
Yeah, I think, obviously everybody understands the answer to that is it's more symbolic than it is strategic with 8,500 versus 100,000. Obviously, we have some certain defensive weapon systems that we could supply, which could be helpful, like the Patriot missile system. But at the end of the day, look, nobody wins in this war. And I think the Russians have to understand that calculus as well. One of our core mission, of course, we're about supporting the warfighter and helping our allies and our country defend democracy around the world. We've got the technologies to help in these engagements, whether it's the Patriot system, some of the radar systems, some of the other effectors that we have. But at the end of the day, we have a strong defense as a deterrent to try and prevent things like this from spinning out of control. So the hope is we don't end up with a hot war. And if we do, it will be costly on both sides.
Greg, it's David. I just want to focus you on some news from this morning, which is, the FTC may be moving to stop the proposed acquisition of Aerojet Rocketdyne by your competitor, Lockheed Martin. You've made no secret of the fact that you don't want that deal to happen. Strangely, Elizabeth Warren seems to have been in your corner as well. Give me your reaction to that, and why? Why do you feel that deal would have been anti-competitive?
I think you have to take a look at the market, and there really are only two rocket motor providers in the country that we all rely on. Orbital ATK was one. They were acquired by Northrop a couple of years ago. And the other, of course, was Aerojet Rocketdyne. And having a strategic supplier like that owned by our biggest competitor, we thought would be problematic from a competition standpoint. Even with a consent decree, it's still problematic in terms of who gets the supply when there's a shortage. Is it going to be the company that owns you or the other company that you have to supply in the marketplace? And so, again, we understand the difficulty of getting deals done today in the defense space. Probably further consolidation not on the table in the near term. But we fully believe that the FTC's decision is exactly right. having an independent supplier of a key component, which is rocket motors, absolutely essential to providing a level playing field for all of us out there in the defense space.
Does it set us back in terms of hypersonic and our competition with the Chinese?
No, not whatsoever. In fact, the hypersonic weapon system that we demonstrated last year had a scramjet engine, which was provided by Northrop Grumman. It's not a rocket motor driven, at least in terms of the hypersonic profile of the flight. So this is, Aerojet Rocketdyne will continue as a robust business. Whether it changes hands down the road, I can't tell you, but we're investing. They're going to continue to invest, and Lockheed's going to continue to invest in hypersonics because that is the next great technology that we're going to have to pursue.
Well, let's talk about that, Greg, because I think technology still matters. This weekend, UAE gets hit with some missiles. You spend $2 million on a Patriot missile for something that costs about, I don't know, $500, no, maybe $1,000. But you have a laser technology, which to me sounds very useful, but also kind of unbelievable. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so here's the problem that the Saudis have found and that the folks at the UAE have found is, they've got Patriot missile defense systems out there. They got the GEM-T missile. But those missiles, as you say, cost about $2 million a round. And if you're taking out a drone that's $1,000 to $5,000, that math doesn't work for very long. And so what we have been working on for the last couple of years is a high-energy laser system, which actually gets mounted on a four-wheel drive vehicle with a turret. And it can direct a 50-kilowatt beam of energy, a laser, on a target like a drone, and within about 2 seconds destroy it. Cost per engagement, almost nothing. Repeatability, very, very high. The problem, of course, right now is we've got to get them into final production. We've got some demonstrator units today with the Army. It's a great, great tool. And the folks at the UAE are dying to get their hands on them. So we're going to continue to work with the DoD to see what we can do to license that to the folks in the Middle East. But it is, I would say, the most cost-effective way to fight an asymmetric war, which is what these drones end up being.
Well, look, this kind of things we need, particularly because of what's going on around the world. I want to thank you, Greg Hayes, for coming on. I think that
thanks, Jim.
Your
thanks,
stock
David.
is a buy. But there we go.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.